Uh, yeah, I thought it was a very evenly contested game. I'm not sure if it was our best performance of the last couple of weeks. Started very brightly and kind of lost our way a little bit, but we knew Gotham are an exceptionally confident, exceptionally experienced team, and they were going to cause a lot of problems. But as you said to the team afterwards, it's probably a reflection of where we are right now. Um, the fact that after the game we're very disappointed by the fact that we've come away from home and tied 1-1 with one of the top teams in the league. So I think that's a reflection of where we are and where we're going. But we do have to tighten things up and ensure we don't concede um, goals in the latter part of the game.
Can you talk about the opening sequence of that game? I mean, it seemed like a goal was coming, it was on its way for their 10 or 15 minutes, and then kind of what happened after the goal to kind of put them on the back foot.
Yeah, I mean, I think we went in with a very clear plan, a very clear idea of how we wanted to create some goal scoring opportunities. We felt that we were able to execute that. We're exceptionally proud of the way we took the goal, the build up, and the information we took on board to try and create that goal scoring opportunity. I think the issue at that point then was the fact that we felt we had something to lose, and we became very conservative, and we dropped off a little bit and invited pressure. And that's not you can't do that against a top team like this away from home. So I'm very proud of the early parts of the game, and then the fight throughout towards the very end of the game.
And we got a couple of questions. Jackie, you can go first, and then Tyler right after her.
Thanks, Jonathan. Hey, Christy. Just was wondering, if you could talk about, from last week, you had a very successful win for Racing, but coming into this match, what was your approach, just of how you wanted to take on such a competitive team as Gotham?
I mean, they're an exceptional team, very well organized, with flags of experience. So our job is to try and pick them apart and find little things within their setup that might that we might be able to expose. And we didn't want to come here and just sit on the back foot and defend. We wanted to come here and try and dictate the direction, the tempo of this game. So that was the idea, and it was to build on the back of the good performance last week. So I think coming to Gotham, taking a point away from home is a very good result. But I guess in the conceding late on something that's definitely frustrating. But again, I think that's a reflection of how much growth there has been within this team.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up, if that's okay. But with your previous expertise with Gotham and experience, was that helpful maybe in terms of your approach, or maybe wasn't it helpful just because it's a totally different team and rebrand of things?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that definitely, no matter what it's Sky Blue or Gotham, it's the coaches that'll probably change the approach and the philosophy of how they want to manage games. I think there's definitely some players here that where I drafted is Keelan Sheridan and Skrosky. I'm delighted to see them do well. So we do have, I guess, a little bit additional insight on them, I suppose. But they're fantastic players. It's very difficult to pick them apart and find weaknesses in their game, and they're complemented by other pieces around the field. So, yeah, I guess it probably gives you a little bit of a head start, and we want to take advantage of that information we have and try to expose them when we get the opportunity.
Thanks, and good luck.
Thanks so much, Jagger.
Hey, Christy, it's Tyler. Nadia had mentioned some decision-making she wanted to see improved, like on the attack, as something to maybe take away from this game to put it away. Is that something that stood out to you as something that could have been better, to maybe take 3 instead of 1 today?
Absolutely. I mean, what we don't want to do is the second we consider it goals to think that the world's just ended in front of us, but we definitely do need to zoom out a little bit and try and decipher some of the things that worked and some of the things that did not work. The final third of the field is very difficult, and it's where you try to allow as much creativity as possible for the players. And when you do allow that and encourage that, it takes a little bit of time for people to connect and understand each other's individual tendencies. So, sometimes the player's looking to move them behind, whereas the ball carrier's looking to play the feet, or vice versa. And that is going to take time. But I guess what you're probably reflecting on is there was opportunities there to get that second goal that we maybe didn't take, and that does come down to a little bit of decision making on the final third.
And just a quick follow up on the concept of some of these late goals that have happened this season. I mean, do you see a common thread in some of those, and I realize that's maybe tough to answer right after the game ends, but is there a mistake or an attitude that keeps popping up to maybe allow some of these to happen?
It's a fair point. It's definitely something that's frustrating. It's definitely something we look at to try and understand. I think it really comes. It's not an attitude issue, absolutely not. I think we tried holding on as long as we could, and that probably wasn't the approach that we should have taken. But I think it's maybe some individual defending and then a little bit of collective defending and understanding the urgency when we're late in the game here and how we want to see a game out. And it's definitely frustrating that it's happened to us. But there's part of me, as I said, the players after the game, you gotta absorb this. You gotta take this feeling and take it into the next game, and hopefully take it out on the next opponents who'll be very good as well.
Paul, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Christy. A two-part question. Can you speak, what is the challenge of such a quick turnaround from this game to the Women's Cup, getting your team ready for this international event? And also, can you speak to how important is this for the Louisville soccer scene to have these two European teams in Chicago come into Lynn Family Stadium?
Hey, Paul, absolutely. A huge challenge in terms of we're over here in New Jersey and we'll not get back into Louisville tomorrow until 6 o'clock. And we're going to look to train on Tuesday and play on Wednesday against a very good Chicago team. And then there's a very quick turnaround to play in PSG and Bayern Munich on the Saturday. And, there's many different factors. You talk about the heat, you talk about the travel. And I guess we want to look at the recovery for the players. We want to make sure we get good rotation and player management throughout that week. So that's going to be a challenge, but it's also a good challenge, right? Because we're talking about the city. We're bringing in Bayern Munich, one of the most legendary clubs in world soccer, and we're bringing in PSG, one of the biggest clubs in world soccer. That's a fantastic statement being made by the club, and I think to see these players touch down and walk the streets of Louisville and actually getting out and interacting with the people of Louisville is a fantastic thing for not just the growth of racing Louisville and soccer holdings, but for the growth of soccer within the city and within the state of Kentucky. So it's a great privilege to be part of that, and we're very excited by the challenge that lies ahead.